I love Iowa. You are so lucky to have the leadership of Bob Vanderplatz and Chuck Hurley. I want to again give them a round of applause for all they have done. It does seem that Providence has some important role to play for the state of Iowa. Last time I was here was a historic election, the caucuses, and before that, the judge bus tour, in which everyone out where I was in the Beltway was saying, same-sex marriage is done in Iowa. It's done. The people are not going to throw out those judges, but guess what? You changed history. I want to take a look at this issue from a 30,000-foot view. Obviously, you're here today, you're going to be doing lobbying. We want a vote, you deserve a vote. But we have to ask ourselves why we're here and what's at stake. Because if you look at this issue, you see that across the country, there's a great inversion. What do I mean by inversion? I mean the reversal of the truth. Whenever the issue of same-sex marriage comes up, we hear repeated lie after lie after lie. And these lies are so blatant that they take the truth and they turn it on its head. In the beginning, we hear that this is about civil rights, and that those of us who oppose the redefinition of marriage are somehow bigots. And yet, what Dr. Martin Luther King called the most important civil right, the right to vote, these very same folks feel fine in depriving us of this right. We also hear another lie, that people of faith don't have a role to play in this fight because of a misguided notion of separation of church and state. At the same time, in states like Minnesota, California, Maine, groups are coming up that are taking on the mantle of faith, pastors for marriage equality. So you have to ask yourself, if these few pastors who are out there saying, let's redefine marriage, have the right in the public square, why don't we? And finally, the biggest lie in this fight, what I like to call the myth of inevitability. You will hear this time and time again. Why are you standing up? Why are you involved in this? Don't you know it's inevitable that the future is on the side of redefining marriage? Well, how does this comport with reality? In 31 of 31 states, every single time the people have had a chance to vote, in liberal California, in liberal Maine, it didn't matter. The people voted to protect marriage as the union of one man and one woman. I'm going to tell you why I believe we see this great inversion. It's simple. If you're going to take something as wholesome, as true, as based on love, as the idea that every child deserves the chance to have both a mother and a father, if you're going to take that idea, and if you're going to redefine it, and if you're going to say, we are wrong, then you have to go to some pretty serious extremes in order to take that idea off the table in the public square. How do we stand up against the great inversion? Well, time and time again, people of faith have been called to speak truth in love to power. You see, I don't care what the odds are. And I know many of you don't either. What I do know is that we were born for such a time as this. We were born to stand up and speak truth to power. We are walking in the same steps of William Wilberforce, who in the late 1800s stood up and said no to the slave trade. He was mocked. Powerful forces, politicians derided him and said, why are you bringing your faith into this? This is just the way things work. This is the economy. If we ban the slave trade, where are we going to get our dollars and cents? William Wilberforce said no. When they told him, keep your preaching in the four square walls of your church, he said no. What did he do? He stood up and spoke truth to power. We need heroes at a time like this. We need people who will not be shouted down, who will not be silenced, who understand that the truth is what is at stake in this fight, that the future of this state and this country are what are at stake, and that no matter what names we're called, we know we've all been called them, no matter what little we have to suffer, that we will resolutely stand up for God's truth, that marriage is by definition the union of one man and one woman. God bless the state of Iowa, and God bless